That's what it's all about. And the drug dealers are resisting and have been for some time. And I will say one thing, they certainly have a lot of guts, because we've seen instances down there where, 10 guys will stand off 200 soldiers and do well. I don't know whether the soldiers are poorly trained or what it is, but they're not backing off. And there's a lot of money involved, and it's the people in the government want to take it over. That's really what it's all about. And incidentally, a good many of the deaths in Mexico and in other places have been caused by the government or government troops or the police. They don't tell you about that. And not that the drug dealers are good guys, they're not. But that's what that's all about. And but every country's going to have problems. There's not going to be nearly as many people going from Mexico into the United States as before, because it just don't work for them. And there are a lot of people over the last couple of years, actually 3 years, that have been returning to El Salvador and Buenos Aires and Hong Kong or wherever they came from, because they've done well over several or years, sometimes 20 years, and they're just taking their money and they're going home. And a lot of that is happening, not giant, but it's happening.
We had a question. The question we started out with was about bank holidays. And one of the questions I'd like to ask is, what are the possible purposes for having a bank holiday? What's the government?
Well, it could be rioting. It could be a precipitous fall in the dollar, which I think the dollar is about to do. It cannot regain its initiative to the upside. What was the dollar close today? 79 something?
Something like that.
Well, it was 89 something about 4, 5, 6 weeks ago. And incidentally, we picked the top in that market for those who wanted to short the USDX. I see it going to 71.18, and I think that could happen by the end of October. And if I'm right, and it does happen, that could precipitate a short bank holiday. You got to remember, a year and a quarter ago, the dollar was at 71.18, and in India at Taj Mahal, they wouldn't take dollars; they wanted euros. Mm-hmm. And the same thing throughout Latin America that I know about, and other places in the world as well. It could be that people will refuse to take dollars. They've done it before, and this time there may be a lot more of them with all of the bad news coming out, like China saying, well, the dollar's got to go as a reserve currency and we got to have an SDR and this sort of thing. They said it again this morning. And, they can't keep their mouth shut. They're only sitting on $1.5 trillion worth of dollars. They got to be suicidal. I mean, if they were smart, they keep their mouth shut and get rid of the dollars clandestinely or as quietly as possible.
Yeah, they've got to make the only thing that's holding dollars up right now. They have no tangible support. And the only thing that's holding them up is some measure of public confidence, which is equally a measure of public ignorance. And the problem is that China
government rigging the market. And incidentally, in the recommendations by the Treasury for the Federal Reserve, the jobs to take over, one of them will be running the rigging of all the markets. I mean, can you imagine having a private corporation owned by 12 regional banks, which the Fed is making money up out of thin air and giving it to them so they won't go bankrupt? And the Fed is going to run regulations, and they're going to have the last say on what happens in financial markets. The whole thing is insane.
I agree.
Absolutely insane.
But, one of the points of this is that the dollar itself is undefined. It has no tangible definition. And one of the illustrations of that is you can look in your wallet and perhaps find a $50 bill. which the government declares to be legal tender. It'll have a picture of President Grant on there looking stern and presidential. And you can also look in another pocket and you might find a $50 gold eagle, which are declared at Title 31. I don't remember the section, but they're declared to be legal tender. Now, the thing that's interesting about this to me is they both, the $50 bill and the $50 gold eagle, both say they're worth $50, but it takes 20 of the $50 bills to buy one of the $50 gold eagles. So the question is, what exactly is a dollar? If it takes $1,000 to buy $50, what is the meaning of a dollar? And the answer is nobody knows. And that leads us to the kind of insanity that is really dominating this system right now. There are people out there who say, hey, you know, this place is getting crazy. They say it as an explanation, but I think they're exactly right. The whole thing is crazy because we don't define the dollar. Until we do, this thing is going to be irrational.
And that's the stage that we're at. And we've got people from Goldman and Morgan, and they're going to have a crusade to tell people we have to have the Fed. What, to steal from us? What they've done stupidly is open the debate. And, you know, I spent 28 years in that industry, and I'll debate them to death because I know what they're covering up and I know what their scams are. And I've been on the radio for the past 3 months, ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox, USA, I mean, you name it, I've been there. And I've been telling people what they're doing. Not people like you. You know what they're doing. It's the public that doesn't know. And they're furious. And so they've had to come out and challenge people like me. And they're going to lose. Because I'm just as smart as they are. They got a problem. And they got to be terrified. Because if the Fed goes down, they go down.
Well, it's not only a question of being equally smart. You have the advantage of being honest. No matter how smart they are, they still have to advance lies, and ultimately the lies can't stand up. I mean, you don't have to be quite as smart as they are if you're telling the truth and they're telling lies. You can still take their lies apart, and they are in great jeopardy if you challenge those lies, and we have 30 seconds to go. Bob,
you're throwing us out there. This is not fair.
Say what?
You're throwing us out there, and that's not fair.
Well, what can I tell you? Making room for the next guy. Folks, I'm Alfred Addis. Thanks for listening. This is Financial Survival, brought to you by Discount Gold and Silver. On behalf of Bob Chapman, wishing you a good evening, good day. God bless each and every one of you. Bye-bye.